Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a good afternoon. It's a technical session 3A. My name is Richa and I'm the moderator of this session. If you have any query and any update, then you can write it down to chat box. And on behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology for Intelligence System. Further, as we are well aware to the facing the new normal situation while overcoming the pandemic, so we are shifted to our conference in hybrid mode. So we are hope to have you in future physical version of this conference. And also there is a special note for all the presenters. They will be given 10 minutes for presentation and 8 minutes for presentation, which 2 minutes for question answer. After 8 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder to conclude the presentation. And before we get started, I would like to introduce our chair of this session, Professor Tanupriya Chaudhary. Dr. Tanupriya Chaudhary received his bachelor degree in CSE from West Bengal University of Technology, Kolkata, India, and master degree in CSE from Dr. Amjad University, Chennai, India. He has received his PhD degree in the year of 2016. He has a more than 10 years experience in teaching as well as in research. Currently, he is working as an associate professor in Department of CSE at UPES Dehradun. His research of interest include human computing, soft computing, cloud computing, and data mining. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now we can start with our first presentation. I would like to call our first presenter, Sumit Shah, to present his paper on stock price prediction using sentiment analysis on news headlines.
Richa ma'am,
Yes,
there is a
please.
request in between along with me. Some of my colleagues are also there. One colleague or two colleagues may ask few questions also.
Sure, sir. So,
Okay.
but time limit is bounded. So,
Yeah.
mention that.
Within 1 minute, only 1 minute queries will be
Sure.
maximum. Thank you.
So, Sumit Shah, you can please start your presentation.
Richa, he is saying that he can't unmute.
Now, Sumit, now you are able to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Please start your presentation.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. So good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Smith Shah. I will be presenting the paper, Stock Price Prediction Using Sentiment Analysis on News Headlines. Professor Hetal and Anjali, along with Samir, Prashant, and Soham, are the co-authors of this paper. We are from the Computer Science and Engineering Department, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. So these are the table of contents, introduction, then problem statement, then we will see the past works, and then our proposed system, and at the end conclusion and reference. Introduction. So our main goal was to predict the stock price of Infosys company using the sentiments gathered from the news headlines. For prediction, we have used CNN and LSTM models. We have also compared their performance. We have also tried to find out the effect of news headlines on the price. So this was our problem statement. It is generally found when there is a good news about any company, more people are interested to invest in that company. And as a result, the stock price of that company rises and vice versa. So in the first case, there is a positive news for an Infosys company, which resulted in change in price 2.31% positive for the given day. Whereas in the second case, DHFL company is involved in some kind of fraud and which resulted in change in price 5% negative for that given day. So these are some of the past work that have been done in this field. People have used various technologies such as LSTM, RNN, SVM, random forest, and nearby to predict the stock price. They have also tried to gather the sentiments from the social media platforms such as Twitter, which may be helpful in predicting the stock price. Also, they have incorporated the news articles about that company. So this is overview of our proposed system. First of all, we are going to merge the historical data of stock from Yahoo Finance and the sentimental data from the news. Then we will split into train and test. Afterwards, we will use the training data to train the models, LSTM and CNN, and then we will be performing prediction. So
Only
first,
one question I am having. Why you have choice that LSTM only and CNN? Is there any special cause?
yes, LSTM performs better on time series data. So stock prices are generally of time series. Day to day, they form a pattern or series. That's why we have used that.
And before going to the proposed system, can you please showcase few of the data set description, please?
Yeah, it is here only in the next slide.
Okay, you may continue.
Yeah. So we have gathered historical data of Infosys from the Yahoo Finance. The dataset contained data from 1st April 2016 to 1st April 2021, around 5 years of data. For gathering the sentiments, we have used Google News API. So in that, we have to just provide the Infosys keyword and it will fetch all the news related to the Infosys. After gathering these headlines, we performed uh, sentiment analysis using weather library, and we got polarity scores in 4 categories: compound, negative, neutral, and positive. Afterwards, we merged the historical data along with the sentimental data, and the final data set was like this, with closing price, compound score, negative score, neutral score, and positive score. We splitted the entire data set into 80% training and 20% testing. So the training days often were around 871 and testing days were 222. So first of all, we had not taken sentiments into consideration. Just using the historical data, we have tried to predict. So we took a window of 20 days closing prices, passed as an input to the LSTM model, and predicted the closing price for the 21st day. The same procedure was repeated for the CNN model. Then we included the sentiments gathered from news headlines, here positive, negative, neutral, and compound score for the same 20 days window, and then predicted the 21st day closing price, uh, repeating the same procedure for CNN. This was the structure of LSTM model. We have used two LSTM layers with two dropout layers in between and one dense layer as the output. This was the structure of CNN. First of all, a convolutional 2D layer, then max pooling, then flatten, then dense, then dropout, and again one dense layer acting as an output layer. So these were the results obtained. For comparing the model performance, we have used RMSE, MSE, and MAP error matrix. They give a value which helps in finding out how deviated our prediction value is from the actual value. So from the table, two observations can be made. First of all, that the performance of model is decreased after including the sentiments. The error matrix values have increased therefore, and also LSTM performs quite better as compared to CNN in both the cases, as its error matrix values are less than CNN. So this is the graph of the predicted and the actual value. As it can be seen that LSTM graph is close to the actual closing price as compared to the CNN. Also, this is the graph after including the sentiment. The graph follows the same pattern, but it is slightly more deviated as compared to the previous graph without sentiments. So in order to find the correlation between the closing price and sentiment, we have used Pearson correlation. It From the table, it can be seen that most of the values are close to zero. And therefore, we also concluded that there is a weak correlation between the closing price and the sentiment. And that was the reason why the model performance decreased after including the sentiment. So in conclusion, LSTM gives better results as compared to CNN. Moreover, a weak correlation was found between sentiments gathered from news headlines and the closing price of the stock. In order to increase the performance, it is required that the sentiments data are accurate. So it is generally found that news which have not any impact on the stock price are also included in the data set because it contains a Infosys keyword. So advanced preprocessing can be done on the data. Furthermore, hybrid models can be used made of LSTM and CNN to increase the model performance. Also, a comprehensive study can be done on the stocks of different sectors such as banking, financial, medical, etc. in order to reach a proper conclusion. These were the references that were used in the study. Yeah, thank you. That's all from my side.
Smith, actually, you have compared only with CNN.
Yes,
Is
LSTM
it
and
so? Yeah, while representing the same, the comparison need to be done minimum with two models.
yes,
Otherwise, how could we understand that the LSTM is giving better result or the CNN is giving better result? That is why in your coming or future work, you may add rather than CNN or along with CNN, few other models also. So that
yeah. We
it can
have
be,
tried other models, but they were very poor as compared to these four, and it
and there
actually
must be
increased
some
the
loss function also. You have not mentioned about the loss functions.
RMSC is the loss function, RMSC, MSC, and MAP. They
Okay.
are the error metrics.
Okay. The present, you are from BTech?
Yeah, I have done BTech. It was our final year research project.
Good work indeed in a BTech. Good work. All the best. Thank you, Smith.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you very
very
much,
much.
sir.
I think now the presentation to be done from Prashant Vats. Thank you. You may switch off your video.
Yes.
Now, a robust framework for governing blockchain-based distributed ledgers during COVID-19.
I'm
Yes, sir.
audible.
Please. Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, sir. So, very warm good evening to all of you. Uh, is my screen is visible to you, sir?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to you all. Basically, my name is Dr. Prashant Vats. And we are here to present a paper that is we have done a research work on robust framework for governing the blockchain-based, you can say, distributed ledgers for the COVID-19 for the academic establishments. As we all have seen that the COVID-19 has offered as a, you can say, affected and altered all our lifestyles in various different manners, especially in terms of education sector, what we can say. So basically what we have done, we have proposed a, you can say, model in which we can monitor the situations, or you can say uh, we can monitor the students presence that has been required. So basically it has created the need to understand our position that which we have seen in interaction with all that uh, this that how this viral specific you can say infection has uh, affected the human system. So to basically impart knowledge for the student, colleges need to increase their occupational exposure. So to solve this issue, various control systems has been provided. So humans, we are presently using these we have presently used the thermoelectric detectors to measure a person's, you can say, changes, card machines in the bus route to verify the educators existence, and based on that we have created web platform in which educator can register the attendance of the student for every class. So human can use the blockchain technology to connect and interact with, you can say, to develop an efficient translucent COVID-19 tracking system. So through this paper, we are actually debating a fresh distributed laser traceability system that guarantees accountability among both students in school and the authorities to avoid the virus spread and aid in, you can say, interaction tracing. So with using the blockchain technology and classroom identity, you can say ID cards, we have supported the implementation of this thing. So blockchain technology, as we know that it is basically, you can say, essentially increasing a set of, you can say, record keeping into which fresh ideas and informations are managed to enter and track. So basically financial statements have been linked in, you can say, cryptographic algorithms. So the most appealing aspect of this distributed technology are its absolute clarity and, you can say, independence. So it's has frequently appealed to large number of people. So not in just in, you can say, several applications, the new baseline for the COVID-19 and school system reopening, blockchain technologies could improve the problem. So school systems can use such sort of self-monitoring tools for their students and meeting to inform that if somebody is showing symptoms, then how they can effectively deal with the situation. So basically, we have suggested the development of a COVID-19 tracking system in which, you can say, we have incorporated the previously processing utilizing blockchain technology to build a system in which a child's participation and his temperature can be documented and can be available to a community college or some sort of nearby authorities, and then individuals or to the family members. So based on this, basically a young person must download and install a COVID tracking system for his easily accessibility. Then he would be given with a reference number, which would be a national identifier and would be associated with an educational ID card, which will be identifying the school in a nearby zone. So though both stakeholders, the students and the, you can say, the educational management authorities, they can verify the individual's personal information, since both parties have access to this tracking system. After the teenager has been verified as a community member and he can enroll as a people in a particular school, so his elementary details like class, segment, public transportation number would be added on this. And this delicate data would be supplied with a confirmation that in one phase it has been available to promote security and protection as well. This is the proposed model where the student is getting registered with a COVID tracker application, where it has been submitting its application for verification, and the registering has been and his registration has been done at a particular school. So the student has been first of all verified and registered, then his temperature
Sir,
would be measured.
sorry to interrupt. Is it the same
Yes, please.
framework?
Yes, sir. This would be the same framework actually that we have proposed.
Okay, 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 okay. Thank you,
So
sir.
in
Okay.
which, okay, so basically where his temperature would be measured and recorded, and then based on that, his attendance would be made for each class recorded, that we are doing with the online technology as well. So information can be legitimized by school, and then it can be get uploaded to the school management authorities. So this is the framework. So we have actually proposed right now. It's been under implementation, and conclusions is this. You can say with, you know very well that in this underlying world, basically it has been undeniably challenging for the school and academic institution to begin to spring up around the world, and basically in which we are giving a documenting system to become a very efficient way of minimizing to spread up according the around the world. So we have been suggesting a documented system that is a very efficient way of minimizing and controlling this scenario, and huge number of parties in this, they can ensure that this that health can be controlled for to spread the protection at a large extent. So this is basically a framework that has been that is going to be in place for protecting the students, educators, school personnel, motorists, and family members if someone has got infected, and to control, you can say, control the spread. And these are the references that we have done. So this was all about the presentation. Any question you would like to ask, sir? I would love to answer that.
Sir, is it the presentation or the PDF?
So it's the presentation that I have given you right now.
Okay, though I think it's not the proper format which we have given earlier for presenting the
No,
same.
no, so actually I haven't received any format particularly. Basically, I'm sorry for that if some specific format have been given. So basically,
One
what
more
we
thing,
have,
sir. You sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
please.
You have given blockchain based, but while representing your framework, the framework
Mhm.
need to be clearly presented in such a way so that we can understand the basic outcome
I
of the work.
can,
It's
yes,
fine.
sir,
It's
yes, sir,
fine that
yes,
we
sir,
have understood your concept. It's a very good
yes,
concept
sir,
for COVID-19 and actually
yes,
for
sir.
the academic establishment also. But how it is
Uh-huh.
robust? You have mentioned the robust and all.
So robust is basically we are implementing this technology based on the, you can say, school identification smart card. Actually, we are working with you can say certain universities in Delhi as well, where we are taking in cooperation with the systems where basically student monitoring systems have been already implemented with the RFID tag, you can say, with their student management system that they have got with their ID cards and all that smart cards. And based on that, their health related data has been associated with the blockchain technology, in which you can say based on their daily monitoring of you can say temperature right now, because after COVID lockdown, the school have been, or you can say colleges, they have been open for the physical study, but still the infection is there, the threat is there. So what we can say, we can put up a daily health monitoring system into which some sort of management system would be there that would be monitoring the physical symptoms like temperature increase, any sort of you can say symptoms that are related to COVID, and then that data can be provided to a centralized health system that is also associated with the educational systems as well, to incorporate the education. Suppose if someone has got infected and he has been put into isolation, and after isolation itself, sometimes it's there that after getting infected, the COVID, you can say the physical impacts are there. So in that case, if suppose somebody is not able to attend the physical classes and all that, so there would be some sort of system which can provide them the continuation of education, and it can also you can say help to prevent the spread of this infectious virus.
Sir,
So
thank you
hmm,
for your kind information about this. But
yes, sir.
Blackboard is also doing the same work.
Which one, sir?
Blackboard, the software Blackboard. Is there any means comparisons, or is there any case
No, sir.
studies?
No, sir. Sir, right now the system is under investigation. So this is a very
Okay,
preliminary
okay, okay.
stage that we have given right now. That's what I'm telling
Thank you,
you.
sir.
That's it.
It's a very
It
good
is under.
framework you have designed. It would be good that so that we
Thank
can
you.
implement it also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Actually,
you.
we have been trying to incorporate it with the student of IGDTU Delhi. The MTech students, they are working on to this project right now. So soon we will come with a practical implementation which can actually help to fight with the system, to basically spread this, sorry, to protect the spread of this infectious virus.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I think we can go for next presentation for Tahanima Yasmin. Thank you. Anyway, you may show your screen so that we can get the presentation from your side.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Tomina Yasmin, and now I'm going to present my security and its prediction with cloud
Yeah, your
computing data.
voice is not
And
visible. Audible, sorry. Your voice is not properly audible.
now I'm audible.
Now,
Hello.
no.
Now I'm audible.
Yes, little bit. It's fine.
Okay. So these are my contents. Right now I'm going to present. First of all, introduction and then role of data science in cybersecurity to present cyber crime, risk factors that is related with cloud computing. And the main algorithm I had presented over there is SRNN algorithm and some cloud computing and IoT in cybersecurity, that to pretend the cyber crime things. And then conclusion and future work. So first of all, recent days crimes become
become the most important and the uppermost dangerous future of intelligent cybersecurity.
Dear presenter, your voice is not audible. Please check. Actually, your voice is breaking.
And services, because of we all know that security is all about our the data. So the time when we want to detect cyber crime, the security data is going. Now I'm audible.
তাহানিয়া তোমার ভয়েসটা আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, we can't hear you.
We'll wait for a few seconds, otherwise we can call our next presenter. Yasmin, you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, but your voice is breaking. So please.
Now is it clear, ma'am?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Now just a minute. My screen is visible, sir.
Yes, your screen is visible. Please start your presentation.
Okay. So this was my introduction, which I added the most importantly the SRNN algorithm for the classification techniques to use and the predict of time data, and that analyze them to get better regions and detect the crime areas. So this paper is basically discusses how our security systems and the cloud strong with enhanced algorithm along with cloud computing features and the IoT for the security enhancement features. And nextly, in my next slide, I would like to explain that the role of due to some network issues, it is not working properly. Okay, now the role of data science in cybersecurity to prevent the cyber crime. Here, the data science is transforming the world and the industries all know, and it is critically important for the future of intelligence, cybersecurity system and services because of the security of the data. Cybercrime, the security data is going to be analyzed in the form of file logs, and in numerous ways it is hard to track down right and official cybercrime information, since there are uncleared various type of occasions, social obstacles are there, and absence of data we can see over there. So these are the some points I would like to explain that that played the main cybercrime, that is data engineering, that with the data conversion and the analysis. And cybercrime has become too common in every day. For any source of news we got that some cases have happened. Not only it is happening to illiterate people, but also the educated person in our community also. So this is the things where the applications of AI, artificial intelligence, that too related with cloud computing and the IoT's data, that may not handle in all the system. And the applications of AI can reduce more problems due to cyber abuse also. So more significantly, it likewise can fill in the other equipments in the arms acquisitions also of cyber lawbreakers, which utilize the innovation actually to sharpen and to improve their cyber assaults also. And in my next slide, I had added some risk factor which we could with our cloud computing system, we see that the incompleteness of the data, the security data, some of the aspects I had included over there, that plays the risk factor over here. So first of all, the incomplete data detection, which basically is giving the fragmented information cancellations, is a lot of dangerous in distributed computing also. So it doesn't like eliminate finished information, since copies of information are put in different servers. So for instance, when a customer socializes to eliminate a cloud assets, then with most working frameworks, this will not eliminate precisely. So this would be a risk factor, and this is playing an important role, that is incomplete data detection also. Likewise, the securing the data, browse security, and the manage of security includes also these things. Like in management interfaces vulnerability, the cloud can access from any places also, and along with these lines, it promotes actually an authentication in a dangerous process also. So yes, sir.
Tamina, actually, we can't
Yes, sir.
hear you properly. In between, there are so many noise cancellation. Is it possible for you to record your presentation? And can you please send us?
Okay, it is possible for me, but could you please tell me the time?
Yeah, by tomorrow morning.
By tomorrow morning. And to whom, sir?
Already, I think you have received the emails for registration and all.
Tahamina, you can share your recorded presentation on conference email ID.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And there is a chance to give the presentation after 5:30, ma'am. Is there any possibility, or after 10 minutes also? I could check my actually network.
Actually, we have back to back. We have 11 presentations, so we have
okay, ma'am.
no.
Okay, I will send it to the conference email ID.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Now we can call our next presenter.
Good evening, ma'am.
Dr. M. Prem Kumar, please start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Is visible, ma'am? My screen?
Yes, now it's visible.
Is visible, ma'am?
Yes, it's visible. Please start.
Okay. So good evening. So my title is on characteristic of kappa q fuzzy translation and kappa q fuzzy multiplication in T ideals in T algebra. As my name is the M. Prem Kumar. My guidance the Dr. A. Prasanna. My friend is the Dharendra Kumar Shukla. He is the regional institute in NCRT in Bhopal. And this is Ismail Makadin, my colleagues, the head of the department and the principal of Jamal Muhammad College. This is my abstract. The consultation of kappa q omega fuzzy translation and the kappa q omega fuzzy multiplication. This article has been with the examples. Furthermore, I generalized the kappa q omega fuzzy translation of T ideals and the kappa q fuzzy omega fuzzy multiplication of T ideals in T algebra, and explained some theorems and proposition and investigated several related algebraic characteristic functions. So that's my introduction. So this the fuzzy translation of fuzzy beta ideals of beta algebras is developed by Ansari in 2014, as well as the fuzzy translation and multiplication in BCK algebras is developed by Delhi in 2009. At myself and fuzzy translation multiplication on B algebras in 2018, and myself also introduced the fuzzy translation multiplication in BG algebras in 2019. And myself in Prasanna and Prem Kumar in developed the kappa q fuzzy order related to kappa q fuzzy subgroup and cyclic group on various fundamental aspects. These are my preliminary definitions. A fuzzy set nu in a BP algebra X is called the fuzzy T ideal, then belongs to capital X. The nu of 0 greater than or equal to nu of X. Then another one condition, nu of X star Z greater than or equal to the minimum of nu of X star Y star of Z, nu of Y for all X,
Your PPT is not visible, sir. Sir, your
Sir?
PPT is not properly visible. You are on the first slide only.
Oh,
Okay, sir.
okay, sir. Is this visible, sir? Is visible, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Carry
So
on.
these are my research contribution on characteristic of kappa q fuzzy translation and kappa q fuzzy multiplication in PIDs. In definition number 1, yeah, n is a fuzzy set of S. If q fuzzy subset of a set in S, then kappa belongs to closed interval 0, 1, and omega belongs to closed interval 0, t. Then t means the translation. That be the condition. Then n omega of kappa from S cross product of q tends to close interval 0, 1. That is called the kappa q fuzzy omega fuzzy translation of n. That be the following condition. The n omega of kappa of pi comma q is equal to the n of pi comma q comma kappa then belongs to then plus the omega. That is called the translation application. Then another one definition is the multiplication. So then n is the fuzzy set of S. If q is the fuzzy subset of S, then kappa belongs to close interval 0, 1 and omega belongs to close 0, 1. So that is our inequality. Then n omega kappa of pi comma q is equal to the omega of n of pi comma q comma kappa. For all pi belongs to S and q belongs to q and kappa belongs to close to 0, 1. Those are my example. I says I have taken 4 elements. Then S is equal to then sigma tau and var theta. I can apply the Cali table. I put the membership value by applying the n 0.5 kappa, that's equal to 0.5 plus 0.4, that's equal to 0.9. If pi not equal to 1, and another one membership value 0.5 plus 0.3 is equal to 0.8 if pi is equal to 1. That is called the fuzzy translation of our example. Then another one is I can multiplication operation. Then n omega of kappa from S cross product of q tends to close to 0, 1. Then n of 0.4, then where epsilon is equal to 0.4 and binary operation 0.4 is equal to 0.16. If pi not equal to 1, then another one membership value 0.4 binary operation star 0.3 is equal to 0.12 if pi is equal to 1. That is our the kappa cube 0.4 multiplication. Those are my results. Let n is a fuzzy t ideal of S, then kappa q omega fuzzy translation, n omega of psi of pi of n in a kappa q fuzzy t ideals of S for all omega belongs to closed interval 0, t and kappa belongs to closed interval 0, 1. Those are my another one results. If n in a kappa q fuzzy t ideal of S, n kappa q omega fuzzy multiplication of n omega of kappa of n, then kappa q fuzzy t ideal of S for all omega belongs to closed interval 0, 1 and kappa belongs to closed interval 0, 1. Then another one result. Yeah, n is a kappa q fuzzy subset in S. The kappa q omega fuzzy multiplication n omega of kappa of pi comma q comma kappa on n is a kappa q fuzzy translation of S for all omega belongs to closed interval 0, 1 and kappa belongs to closed interval 0, 1. Then n is a kappa q fuzzy t ideals of S. Those are my references. Thank you.
Sir, is there any fuzzy model actually
Yes.
you have done like Mandani or
Yes, sir.
something?
I apply the fuzzy logic. I can apply the pure algebraic concepts.
Okay, these are the algebraic functions which you have
Yes,
shown.
yes, sir.
And what are the basic functionality? Means what are the basic outcome for this? Where we can apply it, the basic
These
application?
are application oriented in electrical electronics engineering. I can apply the device in the electrical device. I can apply the fuzzy logic, and as well as the algebraic logics, you can apply the computer science in background.
That's why I'm asking, is there any specific outcome?
In specific outcome is a pure mathematical application, sir. But it are not applicable in other words. I cannot interested. Not interested, sir. I have bonus.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we can come for the next presentation.
Okay.
Now we can call our next presenter, it's Jagdeep Singh, to present his paper on impact of DOS attack in software-defined networks.
Good evening to all. Can you hear me, please?
Audible. You are audible.
Hello. Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I hope my screen is also visible to all of you. Now
Yes.
I'm going to thank you. I'm going to present a paper in depth on DDoS attacks in software-defined networks. So thank you for ICTIS for providing me opportunity. So first of all, I would like to briefly introduce some of the terminology used in this. What is the DDoS attack? So it is an attack that is intentional attempt by the attacker to overcome or to utilize all the resources so that those resources are not available to the legitimate users. They can use the bandwidth, they can use the computing resources by some malicious programs. A single computer is involved in these kind of attack is known as the DOS. When the multiple computers, when the attacker have the control of multiple
Hello.
computers in the
Hello.
yes.
I kindly
Yeah,
request all presenter to please ensure that you are presenting by pressing F5. Your full screen mode is not activated.
all right, sir.
There is an option of slideshow. Yeah, fine. And the same to be done for the all presenters, please. Thank you.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So actually, next time, last time I got a problem in this. When I go to the next slide, the system not showing the next slide. That's why I was just presenting in in that way. Anyhow, okay. So I was talking about the DDoS attacks. When the multiple devices are involved in this system, attacker have the control on some devices using a malicious programs, and then this is known as the distributed denial of service attack. So then the next thing is the SDN, the software defined network. It is a new or emerging network architecture, which is the new hope for the efficient network infrastructure. The basic idea in the SDN is to separation of the control logic from the devices. In the traditional IP networks, we have the devices and the control logic, which control the traffic that where to send from a particular device that is installed or configured in the devices. But in the SDN, this plane is separated from the devices, and the administrator or the network administrator have the control on the control logic, and remotely they can change the device configurations. That is very flexible way of the networking configuration. And then this is the basic architecture of the SDN. In this, the architecture or the network is divided into three different planes. The one is the data plane. Those are the devices, physical devices, which are used to forwarding the network traffic. And the centrally, we have a control plane where we have a controller or the NOS or a network operating system through which the network administrator have the control on the devices through some applications. They can flexibly change and immediately change the network policies if needed. On the top of that, the application layer is there, from where we can have multiple other applications or features to and use the network controls. And the communication between these are handled by some APIs, and like southbound APIs are implemented in the control plane and the data plane. And on the top of that, northbound APIs are used in between the application and the control plane. And some of the APIs are needed when there are multiple controllers. So they are physically maybe distributed, but logically they are centralized. So those are connected with the westbound APIs. So although SDN is sufficient and efficient to handle the DDoS attacks in the traditional networks, the net attacks which are general in the traditional network, but in the SDN, it has another vulnerabilities, or it's you can say limitations, which may be the victim of the DDoS attack, and attacker can easily overwhelm this architecture. So some of the vulnerabilities is shown in this picture. The first thing is the buffer saturation. Every device, the network device, or you can say OF switch, that is the switch is used under the SDN network, have some memory to handle the flow tables, because whenever a new incoming traffic comes to the switch has to ask the policy to the controller, and it will save those policies for some time to forward all the related packets to the particular destination. But at this time, attacker can easily overwhelm this device. They can send fake or malicious packets to the switch, and the switch will have only those entries which are not for the legitimate users. And in very short time, they can overflow the memory of the switch, and switch will drop the request of the legitimate traffic. Ultimately, they are denying denying the services. Secondly, flow table overflow, packet buffer. Secondly, packet buffer. Whenever new packet comes to the switch has to send a packet in request to the controller, and then the controller will give the policy to forward the data. Until that time, the switch has to restore the packet information into the buffer. And buffer is a very limited memory. There is a TCAM memory that is bit costly memory, and they cannot have afford the more memory in the switch, and easily that can be overwhelmed by the attacker. Third thing is that data control congestion. As every time switch will send some request to the controller, definitely they will use the southbound API bandwidth, and attacker can generate enough traffic to overwhelm this bandwidth also. And on the top of that, the controller may be saturated by the attacker easily, because every controller has a limited memory to process the requests. And if there are multiple malicious requests to process, definitely at some point, the controller may saturate their processing. Or sometimes they may be physically distributed, or centralized controllers may be there, but now the tools are available to generate enough traffic. They can also overwhelm the number of controllers also, and ultimately cascade failure may happen there. So the main impacts of the DDoS attacks on the SDN architecture resources is, first thing is the flow table saturation. As we have already discussed, this flow table saturation, because every time there is a need to store the flow entry in the flow table, and definitely this is the limited memory. And when the number of malicious packets arrives at the particular switch has to request to the controller, because controller is the only responsible to decide which is malicious or which is the real network to forward. But at that time, everything need to be stored in the flow table, and ultimately this memory or the flow table may be overwhelmed by the attacker. Second thing is the disruption of the packet forwarding capability. Ultimately, whenever the packet comes to the switch has to forward the packet to the to the controller, and the switch needs to process that packet in message and packet out message, because when they receive the policies need to be settled. So this processing must be used for the legitimate users. But when the number of fake packets are arriving at the new switch, the switch is busy, and all the processing power is used for the fake messages only, and the legitimate users ultimately get their
Actually,
services
you
denied.
have studied the DDoS attacks for SDN.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you made any case study also regarding this?
Yes, sir. Sir, in my previous research, I reviewed the DDoS attacks for the SDN networks, various types of DDoS attacks.
Okay. Thank you. You may carry on, but your time is going to be over within few minutes.
Yeah, this is the last slide, sir, actually. And then the controller as a single point of failure, and as I have discussed in the vulnerability, that the controller may be halted by the attacker easily. congestion of southbound APIs every time the network traffic goes towards the controller to decide the policies. And these southbound APIs are actually the bandwidths used between the switches on the controller that can be overwhelmed. And eastbound and westbound API congestions may also occur because when there are number of or the multiple controllers are there, they need to be work in coordination, and those APIs also congested by the attacker using the fake flows. So this is all about the impacts of the DDoS attacks. Thank you very much.
Thank
Is
you.
there any query?
We may close your presentation now. Then the next presenter may come, please.
Yeah, thank you.
And I request all presenters, please try to complete your presentation within 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
Now we can call our next presenter. It's Priyanka Nair to present her paper on application of machine learning in mineral mapping using remote sensing.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Please let me know once my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Thank you. Good evening. Today, I'm presenting on the theme of application of machine learning in mineral mapping using remote sensing as a review work. The authors for the paper are myself, Priyanka Nair, Devesh Kumar Srivastav, and Dr. Rohit Bhatnagar, affiliated to Manipal University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. The agenda would cover today the background of the study, the problem statement that has been tried to be identified, the framework, the conclusion, and the references. I hope my slides are moving just to be on the same page.
Yes, your slide is moving.
Thank you. Machine learning has proven its capability in acquiring different patterns, and it has been a very effective approach. And remote sensing is one of the field of studies where the imageries are captured by the satellite and different resolutions of varied types, including spatial, spectral, and temporal imagery. If we apply machine learning with the help of remote sensing, a varied application area can be catered to. One of the application area of target for this research work has been geosciences, specifically to the mineral mapping. So, like I said, that remote sensing being one popular field can be employed with ML concept to harness the application area. So there are different sensors that can be employed to capture the data. So when I speak about the application area in the remote sensing, when we go onto the field and analyze a surface to detect any patterns, it's definitely accurate. But then when we capture the images through satellites, that is, if you are using satellite imagery, a lot of anomalies crops in. So machine learning is a very effective manner that can be employed to have accurate results in analysis of surfaces. So the images that are captured by these satellites are in the form of the electromagnetic waves. And this paper intends it's a review. It's a review work, and it intends to showcase the relevance of machine learning in the application area of geosciences. A larger area can be covered when we are speaking of remote sensing, the area of remote sensing. The scope of this is akin to the field of lithology and specifically to mineral analysis and identification of capacitive mineral banks. So I'll just move here. So the research considerations for these both realms of machine learning and remote sensing includes electromagnetic radiation. As we say, the surface information is being carried out in the form of electromagnetic waves. The atmospheric scattering, when we capture the images, it is prone to a lot of anomalies. those anomalies have to be corrected. And when I say spectral signatures, these images are in the form of spectral signature. I'll give an analogy shortly. And then we apply some geospatial analysis and machine learning, followed by the accuracy assessment of the land cover. If I look towards the vision of this work, it intends, if we look at the surface of the earth, the
Sorry
vision
for
of the
interruption, Priyanka ma'am. May I
yes.
know about the LULC methods? What do you
Sir,
mean by LULC?
so land utilization methods that have been covered. So here, like LULC, so this is a very initial framework methods that have been applied here, sir.
Or any data set you have worked on?
Data set is Landsat. So that's a multispectral imagery that has been considered for the intent of identifying the framework. But then the extension to this work would be hyperspectral imageries like Hyperion. Currently, it is applied with Landsat images.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank
You
you,
may
sir.
carry on, please.
Yes, sir. So there are different, so the vision covers first identification of different areas on the land cover, whether it's a vegetation, whether it's a soil, it's a water. Once we have identified those land covers, the intent is to identify.
Ma'am, sorry for
specific.
interruption again. Have you done anything on vegetation indices?
Sir, this is, like I said, that this is a review work. So can I come directly to the framework, maybe?
Yes, please, ma'am. It will be better, I think. And before going to that work, it will be better to clearly explain about LULC and that vegetation indices, as because the presenters and the other members who are present right now over here, they might not be having good impact on geospatial techniques. That's why this type of explanation may help them to understand about the geospatial techniques and to apply them by the use of machine learning. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So I would directly come to the key findings of this work. The type of rock basically can demonstrate the presence of a specific kind of a mineral presence. So the satellite imagery is associated with spectral signature. When I talk about spectral signature, is just like a fingerprint. So every human being has a different identifiable fingerprint. Similarly, every surface on the earth has a different has an identification signature that we call the term as spectral signatures. So with terabytes of spectral signatures being gathered by these sensors, we can apply different kinds of machine learning algorithms to identify these patterns. The texture and the colors of the rocks, when they are captured by the sensors, are absorbed at different wavelengths. And to comprehend this relationship between lithology, we put formulations. The classifications can be on the different classes like amphibole, biotite, olivine, etc. Landsat 7 and Landsat 8 has been used to identify the mineral deposits here, because we are specifically talking about the alteration in rocks and minerals. This is an analogy of the spectral unmixing here. So the first vision here would be the identification of different land surfaces. On the graph below, you can see there are different plots that can be visible on the screen. This is based on which wavelength the energy is being reflected. That's how these plots are created. So in this manner, we can differentiate between the land covers, and in the similar manner, every substance or element on the Earth's surface has a differentiating spectral signature. The analogy just like a human fingerprint. So here I would like to bring a band specification. Like I said, that we have used Landsat 8 and Landsat 7 ETM. So both these sensors have been used. You can see there are different bands. Every image is composed of different bands, and these bands reflect at different wavelengths. So if you look at the SWIR short wavelength region, and for the Landsat 8, you can see that it discriminates the moisture content of the soil, vegetation, and thin clouds. Similarly, on the ETM, the discrimination can be seen on the wavelengths of 1.55 to 1.75. So these are different bands that have been considered for specifically for the geoscience. Google Earth Engine, just to analyze this whole intent of identification of surfaces on the Earth, Google Earth Engine was employed, but the extension would be definitely the QGIS platform in the future. Here, we have taken the plots of the surface, the intended area, and we have taken the analysis specific. We have downloaded the data set of Landsat 8 and Landsat 7 here. Once we have this data set with us, the identification of land cover classes, we go for generalization of the statistical parameters, the selection of the training site or the site selection, the accuracy assessment, and the classification output. This is a case representation of the whole intent of the framework, where we have imported the data set into the GEE coder. Like, I would like to mention here that this is a very like, it's a review work. So it has been taken to a code editor of GEE, where we have filtered the coordinates, we have applied some atmospheric corrections, we have taken the bands in combination, sampling the regions, and training the classifiers. Random forest has been taken here, but definitely random forest will not be giving an accurate measure here. For the future, SVM and CNNs would be considered for the identification of minerals on the specific regions of the Earth's surface. I would like to take you through this flowchart here, where once we collect the data from the satellite imagery, be it the multispectral or the hyperspectral. This work has been specifically to the multispectral, that is the Landsat sensors. The pre-processing plays a very important role, because when we capture the images, it has a lot of noise. Those noises can be taken for the radiometric corrections, where the digital numbers are being converted to the radiometric calibration. And then we have geometric conversions for georeferencing and geocoding. Once we have the pre-processing, we also go for the image enhancement that includes some of the spatial filtering and band rationing. Image classification, specifically, we have intended here is supervised, but for the future and for the very accurate model, for having a very accurate model, unsupervised classifications will also be considered. For the accuracy assessment post-processing, kappa index or confusion matrix can be employed here. So this is the whole framework that has been brought up. It is at a very, very preliminary stage, where the intent is to apply the machine learning to bring the intricacies of the surface, harnessing the machine learning. The extension of this work will cover the spectral unmixing with the land covers, including the hyperspectral images. Why I am focusing on hyperspectral is because it includes more number of bands. The more the number of bands, the more better we can have clarity on the data points on a particular surface. These have been the references for the work. Any questions that I can answer?
Thank you, ma'am. Very good work indeed you are doing. All the best for your work. Already, I think the questions I have asked you in between.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
We can come to the next presentation, please.
Now we can call our next presenter, Mohammad Farsid, to present his paper on IoT-based agriculture trend prediction based on weather data.
Greetings to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Question is, yeah, visible?
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving the floor. Yeah, I'm Mohammad Rashid and I'm going to present the IoT-based agriculture trend prediction based on weather data and the my co-author of this is J. Kaptan Ahmedabad and Professor Akem Mujahidul Islam, sir. So this is the outline of our today's presentation, and this is the introduction part. Agriculture is one of the major sectors for the economy worldwide. Climate change is an exceptionally essential part in the agriculture area. Agriculture trends in a certain location are basically based on some weather conditions like wind, speed, temperature, humidity, and precipitation. This work actually focuses on the agriculture trend in a certain location based on these features. For this work, we chose the southwest part of Bangladesh named Chittagong as our study region. Our work mainly predicts the agriculture trend by analyzing the real data with the help of a model based on decision tree classification. To build this model, we use 1800 plus 5 years data, which are collected from the NASA Power View and the Bangladesh Agriculture Book 2020. And the problem statement, after reviewing some current problems, we analyzed that due to climate change, weather conditions are rapidly changing in many geolocations like drought, longer rainy season, and temperature rising, which is affecting the agriculture sector with the challenges like cultivation of crops in the unfavorable weather. Like we see cultivation crops in salty soils in the southwest of Bangladesh. For this climate changes, agriculture trends and crops cultivation pattern are also needed to adapt with this new situation with modern technologies. So that's why we focus on solving the part of agriculture trend and crops cultivation pattern by analyzing the past year's weather and crops data using IoT and data analysis techniques. The main objective of our work is to predict the agriculture trend by analyzing the weather data. For this purpose, IoT technology is used to collect real-time streaming data. We also need to find better adoptions of agriculture trend with building models using the past data. The main motivation behind this work is that conventional methods are not sufficient to fulfill the needs in the agriculture sector because of continuous climate change. Modern agricultural methods need to be adapted to the agriculture trend and crop cultivation pattern with the changing climate, which might be lucrative economy as well as the sustainable development. These are some literature that we are actually reviewing. Author one mainly aim is to define a comprehensive framework which begins with collecting training data, analyze it, and extract from it common measurement and other interesting findings. The propose three efficiency and performance improvements and the utilizations of IoT attributes. The combinations of the collected rules and random forestries and then deployed in the IoT device and network. The result accuracy is highest like 92, 95 and using 8 processors and 10 trees on 30 classification pre-process. Second paper is mainly on an overview of an energy efficient and secure IoT-based WSN framework to appoint the most suitable cluster heads based on multi-criteria decision function. It's mainly to adopt a single hop paradigm for data transmission and decreases the chances of bottlenecks among
Farshid, one point for your information.
Yes, sir.
If you are presenting any literature survey and if there is nothing in the ML background or any other background, if it is blank, then you may write like NR. NR means not reported.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Have you understood? This
Yes,
point
sir.
will help you in the further journal submissions also.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. You may carry on.
So the second paper is mainly an overview of an energy efficient and secure IoT-based WSN framework to appoint the most suitable cluster heads based on multi-criteria decision function. It's mainly to adopt a single hop paradigm for data transmission and decreases the chances of bottlenecks among agriculture sensors and base stations. Is a mixed review with advantage and disadvantage of IoT and data analytical system in a smart agriculture. It's an overview of different methods of wireless communication for IoT, data, and cloud storage. It also focuses the overview of the future analytical process based on various streaming feature data and also how we will predict categorical and numerical data.
In that paper, they show more research of recent practice on smart agriculture using data mining techniques and solving several agricultural problems. The focus on control flow of irrigation plants, disease monitoring, pest monitoring, crop yield prediction, and impacts on productivity based on climate change using the combination of data mining with other techniques. And the another paper main goal is to improve crop yields, reduce cost, and improve quality to increase agriculture productivity using IoT device. It is a centralized based system with different control flow with different type of parameters. This paper is to help the agriculture sensor for finding the best method of advanced crop productivity with the help of big data and machine learning activities. It mainly focuses on different type of sensing methods. They mentioned data collection is the key for gathering the phenotyping campaign for the successful model building using big data. And the last paper, author used ML techniques with a statistics parameter to predict the yield generation prediction. They're tuning up hypermeter using the 4 different ML algorithms with the step of data collection by site survey, proximal sensing, sampling, and yield of data. And this is the methodology part. In methodology, we categorize our solution into 4 steps. Firstly, we have collected our dataset, which consists of real-time streaming weather data using IoT device, and also collect 5 years plus data of weather variables and crops cultivation data from NASA Power View and Bangladesh Agriculture Book. After collecting data, we process the data to find outliers and missing data so that we can remove unwanted noise from data. Then we proceed for feature selection, which we statistically analyzes the data by choosing significantly correlated features using a chi-square test and also scaling the data using min-max scalar. We chose machine learning algorithms such as decision tree classifier model to build our prediction model for the dataset, which shows the comparison between the models and also highlight the actual result. After prediction, the predicted result will be shown in a user interface like web-based user interface or mobile application interface. Workflow diagram. In workflow diagram, we show the overall view of our system. Firstly, we have collected our real-time weather data by IoT device through ThinkSpeak Cloud Server and the past 5 years data crop cultivation through NASA Power View and Bangladesh Agriculture Book. Higher temperature, humidity, wind, speed, and precipitation are the independent variables, and the crops listed.
Parshid, sorry for again interruption. Can you please define that you have used multiple colors? Why so?
So the multiple colors actually present the multiple features. Like the NASA Power View actually present the source, and the Bangladesh Agriculture Book present the source, and the temperature, humidity, wind speed.
No, my question is: you have used green color, you have used little red,
yes,
or little green, light green. Why so? Is there any specific point for this?
Yes, sir. This actually work divided. Actually, the green color actually showing the device data, and also the gray color actually showing the
I
features.
understand your point, but for your kind information, while presenting such thing, you have to write the color information in the down of your figure, so that all can understand what actually it is defining. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may add it later, not right now, for any other submissions. Thank you. You may carry on.
So things and the past 5 years weather and cultivation data through the NASA Power View and Bangladesh Agriculture Book. Higher temperature, higher the crop temperature, humidity, wind, and precipitation are the independent features below. And the crops that was listed out on boro, wheat, watermelon, and cotton are the dependent levels that was collected from the Bangladesh Agriculture Book. After merging all the data, we preprocess the data by removing outliers, and for feature selection, we use the chi-square test and also scaling the data using min-max scalar. Then we split the data into training and testing data, where training for the purpose of the building prediction model and testing for the purpose of the acquiring the result of accuracy. On that system diagram, we are seeing the sensor and development board that was used in making the IoT system. This is able to measure the temperature and humidity, range of sensor for measuring the precipitation, and the decimeter, as we can say, anemometer, has been used to measure the wind speed. The D1 mini is the development board, which has this 8266 features. This device is connected with an I2 gateway using the Wi-Fi communications, and then the data has been uploaded to the centralized cloud system where we have our model based on decision tree classification, which will predict the ideal cost for planting for future. And on the left side, we are seeing the proposed IoT device, which was streaming directly to the centralized cloud. And on the right side, we are seeing the data streaming part in the cloud system. And on the representation part, the data has been converted from categorical to vector data using one hot encoding method. And in data process and in the data preprocess system, we found out the quartile outlier and also shown the outlier in the buffer. We used the chi-square feature selection method to find the linear relationship between the data variables. In that section, we are seeing the quartile values and also the outlier from the box plot. And we have initiated feature selection by transforming the data using the min-max scalar. And the chi-square test has been performed on the transformed data to set the examines the difference between categorical values. From that figure, we observe the p-values. And then this is the way we actually with the training testing data and we are making a model based on decision tree classification. From that, we actually predict the cross based on real data. And this is our configuration matrix where we have 57 data of true negative, 29 data on false negative, and 24 on false positive, and 439 on true positive. And the accuracy that is 67 to 70%. And if we see the final outcome, we actually using the thing streaming for features. We get real-time data and run it through our built-in decision tree classification model that displays the output experiment that was put to the test. We gathered the data from the IoT device on the 5th October 2021, and based on that real-time data analysis, we discovered the ideal crops, which are almond, boro, and wheat. The proposed system actually simulated the IoT device for real-time weather monitoring and analyzed the agriculture trend using the decision tree classification. This study will help us predict the perfect crop in the basis of perfect weather condition and also make a potential impact in economy. In future, we plan to integrate the soil analysis component to aid in the identification of ideal crop. Additionally, we will also implement different type of classification model to compare the accuracy and adaptability with one another. And these are the references I am going to use. I'm using right now. And thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, your presentation is good, but can you please come to some previous slides where you are showing some Python results?
Yes, sir.
Or the Python code. During your presentation, you need not to show the Python codes and all. While model building and all, you have to present how the model you have built and how the results are coming. The confusion matrix is fine, but you need not to show the code and all.
Okay, sir.
These are the confidential ones, if you have made by your own. Okay, thank you. Already the questions I have asked in between, we may come good presentation indeed. I think you are a scholar or a student over there.
I'm a student actually.
Good presentation. As a student, it's very good. We can come to the next presentation, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now we can call our next presenter. Is Shashank to present his paper on an improve energy conservative routing mechanism in heterogeneous wireless sensor networks.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, visible, but please, yes, click slideshow.
Okay. So is it visible fully now?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, first of all, good evening to all. Thank you for having me. So coming to the point, I am Shashank Bartwal and I am presenting my research work. The topic of my research work is an improved energy conservation routing mechanism in heterogeneous wireless sensor networks. So in this, my research paper, I am proposing a new protocol that is for the wireless sensor networks. So let's get on started. So the outline, the introduction, routing, research areas, previous protocols, proposed work, simulation result, and the references. So wireless sensor network. The emergence of wireless sensor network or wireless sensing based technology has been one of the major advancements in the revolutionary growing technologies. A wireless sensor network is an ad hoc network comprises of spatially deployed independent sensor nodes. In simple words, in a wireless sensor network, a large number of sensor nodes are deployed in a region to monitor or for surveillance. Now, the data is collected by the sensor nodes is then forwarded to base station directly or indirectly, after which the data can be accessed by internet or by the end user. Now, the sensor nodes. So the sensor node comprises of the four parts, that is the sensor, micromodule, microcontroller, and power supply. Sensor converts the physical parameters, for example, like temperature, pressure, moisture, water capacity, and converts it into the data, electrical signals. Radio module transmits or receives the data. The microcontroller is for processing purpose, and the power supply is the power source of the sensor node. Now, due to deployment strategies, the recharging or replacement of the battery is not possible. The constraint on the battery resource of sensor node have been one of the major stumbling block in the increasing the lifetime of a network. Therefore, we need to have a certain algorithm or an intelligent algorithm for data collection and sending the data back to the base station so that we can increase the lifetime of the network. Now routing. Routing is the process of selecting suitable path from many existing paths for data traveling from source to destination. In our case, we have to send the data from the node to the base station by directly or indirectly. Now, sensor nodes are classified into three types: the cluster based, chain based, and tree based. In this diagram, we can easily see that the cluster based, the number of nodes forwards their sensed data into a single node, which then forward it to the base station. In chain based, the first node passes its information to the nearest neighbor node and the process goes on. In tree node, we can see that from the structure, one node gets information from two, which get information from two, and so on. Now, the research areas in wireless sensor network. These are some of the research areas. For example, the partitioning of the area network. When we deploy the sensors, we are not sure that will they be able to sense the whole area or not. Sometimes some area remain left. The clusters and cluster head selection, energy conservation or increasing the lifetime of the network, and some of the more. Now, some of the previous protocols for hierarchical trust. So the first one was the leech, SAP, TSAP, and Binish. These are one of the standard protocols in their respective domain. Leech protocol, the low energy adaptive clustering hierarchy protocol. It was a homogeneous protocol in which it was assumed that all the nodes carry the same energy. Its aim was to improve the lifespan of the network, and in this clustering was used. So cluster head selection and clustering was also used. The second was the SCP protocol, the stable election protocol. In this, the clustering was used, and for the selection of cluster head, the weighted election probability was used. Two levels of heterogeneity. Heterogeneity, in this case, heterogeneity means the nodes are of same type, but they differ by energies. Because we have seen that there never exists a homogeneity in real life. So due to manufacturing defect or any other defect, the nodes energy vary in real life. So in SEP protocol, normal nodes and advanced nodes were there. In TSEP protocol, that is the threshold sensitive stable election protocol, 3 level of heterogeneity was used: the normal nodes, intermediate nodes, and advanced nodes. Now then came the Benish protocol, the balanced energy efficient network integrated super heterogeneous protocol. In this, a new type of approach was used for cluster head selection, that is the residual energy. Residual energy basically means the energy remained in the sensor node after transmitting or receiving data. 4 level of heterogeneity was used. Now, the protocol I am going to propose carry a 5 level of heterogeneity: the supernodes, normal nodes, supernodes, mega nodes, hypernodes, and ultranodes. The different type of nodes symbolizes different energy levels in the network. In this protocol, I have used heterogeneous clustering. Now, the probabilistic method as well as the cluster head selection based on residual energy, both are combined together. The multi-hop is used. Now, that's some basics of clustering. Clustering is basically merging of the sensor nodes or a group of sensor nodes to form a cluster and selecting a cluster head. Clustering helps in increasing the lifetime of the network, because if we continuously make a single sensor node a cluster head, its energy will be depleted randomly or very fast. So we switch to different nodes for cluster head. It has 3 phases: cluster head selection, cluster formation, and then data transmission. Now, this diagram can directly show that the first diagram, the blue and the red one are the cluster members. The red one became the cluster, and all the nodes pass the information to red one, and it passes to base station. Sync is also known as the base station. Now, single hop. In single hop, the data is directly transferred from sensor node to base station. In multi-hop, the data is transferred via different nodes and then at last reaches to base station. Now, these are my simulation results. The first one is the alive node versus rounds. So it simply means that in SCP protocol, the last node died at the 4804 round, while TSEP, it died in 4196. In Benish protocol, it died at 7767. And in the proposed protocol, it died at 9165. We can say that it was about twice as good in compared to SCP, twice compared to TSCP, and about 1.5 times better than the protocol. Now, the first node death. First node death, stability period. Stability period is the duration from which the sensor node starts to the death of the first node. So SCP protocol, the first node died at around about 1000. In TSEP, it died at 1733. In Benish 2000, and in proposed protocol, it died at 2906. It is about thrice as good as SCP, and about half as good as TSEP, and about 0.5 times better than Benish. Now the throughput. The SEP protocol, the throughput is determined as the total number of packets passed from the sensor nodes or cluster heads. Or we can, in other words, say that the total number of packets received by the base station. So in SEP 27827, TSEP 25, and Benish 42463, and in the proposed protocol, it is the EERP, that is the 83,524. Now, the death of the last node. In SEP protocol, the last node died at about 5,000. In TSEP, it died about 4,000. Benish 7,700, and in proposed protocol, it was about 9,000. So this is the comparison table. SCP protocol. In by this comparison table, we can directly say that the proposed protocol works better than the previous protocols. Now, these are the references, some of the references.
Can you please come to your previous slide?
Yes, sir.
Can you please explain this stability period, throughput, and lifetime? What is the basic unit behind that?
Sir, the unit we can say that these are the number of rounds. For example, we have seen that the SCP protocol and stability period. So in SCP protocol, the stability period means after the initialization of the network to the death of the first node. That is
This
the
thing
when
you have to write in your table, and the table name also to be given. You have missed the table name also. If anyone from the other panel members will ask you what is actually giving in the table, that is why table name and the caption to be there. Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, fine. You may carry on. Come to your references, please.
Yes, sir. So these are some of the references which I have copied from the research paper.
Which you have referred, not copied.
Sorry, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Referred.
Okay, okay. Fine, fine. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. You may note the points and we can come to the next presentation, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now we can call our next presenter. It's Panchal Mittal Nikunj to present her paper on intelligent heuristic keyword-based search methodology applied to cryptographic cloud environment.
Very good evening, respected sirs and madams. Can I start my presentation?
Yes, you may please start your presentation.
Okay, just I am sharing the screen. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So, very good evening, all of you. Myself, Panchal Mittal. I am presenting a review on the searchable encryption technique, which is applied on the cloud environment. That is the cryptographic cloud environment. As we know,
1 minute, there is a basic discussion.
yes, ma'am.
Please, the presenters don't leave right now, as because the presentation is going on. And in between, if you will be leaving that, then there is no such a meaning of these presentations. And Springer will also look after the absence or the presence of the presenters also after the presentation. Please take care about the same. Thank you.
Okay.
You may carry on now.
Okay, sir. So basically, I am presenting the review on the cryptographical cloud environment, which is basically, as we know, the cloud computing is the environment that provide us the on-demand, ubiquitous resource sharing and the data access to the clouds efficiently and effectively. As we know, when we go for the resource sharing and data access giving to the client, so it minimize the infrastructure cost. But when we go for this all the facilities among the cloud, then we have to consider some security aspects in the cloud computing. So as we know, the cloud is basically on the internet and it is the third party environment. So we cannot know where our data is stored. Okay, so what the organization or what the data owner are doing while going for the cloud for protecting their data, they are encrypted their data and stored on the cloud. So that is what, when we go for the cloud computing, we have to make sure about the security of the particular data which we are storing or we are outsourcing to the cloud environment or the cloud. So cloud security is the biggest reasons why the organization fear to store that to outsource that data to the cloud. So from this I got the motivation that okay, when the data is stored on the cloud or outsourced to the cloud, so what the enterprises users or the individuals are doing, that they are outsource that sensitive data. So one thing the enterprise and individuals can do that they store their data in the encrypted format in the cloud. So when the data is stored on the encrypted data is stored on the cloud, so when we want to get some data from that cloud environment by any of the user, then it is not a very easy process to get the data with the proper you can say the verification. So when I want to search some data from the cloud environment, so normal search terminology is not work on it. So for that we have to work on the searching process, which will be work for the encrypted data. So there is a technique, or you can say the technique that is called as the searchable encryption technique, that will be allow the user to search on the cloud environment, and that data is you can say that data is the encrypted format. So we can get the we can search the data in the encrypted data which is stored on the cloud, and we can get the better result. So why normal search technology is not applied? Because some of the some of the sectors like electric grid utilities, smart meters, then you can see as the healthcare database for vaccination certificate. So these all the sectors in which we have to search something from the cloud environment or some databases, so that is stored on the cloud. So for that we require the mechanism that will be search the cloud encrypted data on the cloud server. So the searchable encryption technique is introduced, and that enables the user to store documents in the ciphertext form while maintaining the functionality to the search keyword in that document. So searchable encryption provide us the data retrieval in the encrypted document that prevents the data privacy from being disclosed. So searchable encryption is the you can say it's a technique that uh, uh, that preserve the privacy of the data among with the provide the data retrieval very easily. So searchable encryption, here is the architecture of the searchable encryption technique. That architecture has the main three entities. One is you can say here I have a
Sorry to interrupt you. The
yes sir.
framework which you are showing of
Yes sir.
searchable encryption, the same framework you have given also in your paper?
Sir, paper in the paper, I have just you can say the review the all the papers. This is the standard architecture
I
of
am
the
asking
searchable
you
encryption.
very clear question that
Yes, sir.
the framework of searchable encryption number 2, which you are showing, the same figure you have used in your research paper also?
No, sir, I didn't use it.
Okay, that means only for your
Yeah,
presentation, the figure has been used.
yeah. So I have referred this paper in my paper, research paper. So that's why I use this architecture in the presentation.
Okay, then it's fine. No issues in that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, carry on, please.
Yes, sir. So, in the architecture of the searchable encryption, main three entities are there. That is the you can say is the data owner, that is Alice. Then Bob is the data user and the cloud environment. So, what the architecture says that okay, whenever the Alice want to outsource that data to the cloud environment, so first of all he or she encrypt the data, convert his or her data into the ciphertext, and that it will be stored on the cloud environment. So in this process, they are also prepare the index table, and that index table is also stored on the cloud environment. So when the Bob wants to find out or search something from the cloud environment, so what he or she can do, they send the trapdoor or the search keywords to the cloud environment, and based on the trapdoor and the keywords, the cloud environment can do the similar check the similarity between the data which is stored on the cloud environment, and the encrypted result will be get by the Bob. So here the searchable encryption says that okay, whenever your data is stored in the cloud environment in the ciphertext format, so using the searchable encryption, we can get the data by using this particular technique. So searchable encryption can be, as I referred the papers, and it says it mainly of the two parts, two types of searchable encryption is mainly used. Then there is a sub parts of in these main techniques. The first one is the searchable symmetric encryption technique. As we know, in the searchable symmetric encryption, the process of the searchable encryption is the same, but the only private key holders, they can produce the ciphertext, and they can create the trapdoors for the search. So only one key will be used in the searchable symmetric encryption. In the public key encryption with keyword search, uh, in which two keys will be used. The public key will be used to generate the ciphertext, and the private key will be used for creating the trapdoors. Even to decrypt the search results, the data user use the private key. So in the as we know, uh, search in the searchable encryption techniques, we can apply the three types of, you can say, the search technique can be applied. First one is the single keyword searchable encryption. In the single keyword searchable encryption, uh, um, the same process will be happened, but what is the difference is that only a single keyword can be searched. If I want to search the user, then I write the user and I will get the data from the cloud environment. But what is the disadvantage of this technique is, okay, whenever I want to search something, I write the user, then I will get the multiple result, like user allows, user wants, and this type of multiple files I will get. So it will give you the redundant result. This to overcome this, the another technique will be proposed by the authors of the previous paper, that they says that the multi keyword searchable encryption scheme, in which the multiple keyword will be applied, like user allows. So these two keywords I will send to the cloud servers as a search keyword, and I will get the result based on that the keywords I have applied. So what is the disadvantage for this multi keyword searchable encryption is that, so whenever I write the multiple keywords, so sometimes it may be possible that I do this as spelling mistakes. So when I do some type of spelling mistakes, so I didn't get the proper exact match from the cloud environment. So that is the disadvantage of the multi keyword searchable encryption. So the next is the fuzzy keyword searchable encryption, uh, in which main multi keyword can be applied. Single keyword searchable encryption can also be possible, but when we want to do something, like if I have done some spelling mistake while searching any data from the cloud environment, so fuzzy keyword searchable encryption can give me the proper results. If the exact keyword will be given, then it will be give me the proper result. If I have done some mistakes in the typing mistakes, then it will be given me the closest possible matching file based on the keyword similarity semantics. So that is what is the you can say the main scope, where while we are not going for the single keyword, multi keyword, so we will go for the fuzzy keyword, because it will give us the uh, better result, and we can get the possible outputs. But the main drawback of this searchable encryption technique is it requires the most more storage. Why? Because whenever we go for the searchable encryption architecture, then it prepares the index table. So when we go for the fuzzy keyword, then the index from the keywords is generated, that table is very large, so storage space is more required. So that is the drawback, or you can say that is the research gap I have found while using the searchable fuzzy keyword searchable encryption. So I am working on this particular thing, that I use the fuzzy keyword searchable encryption with the less storage while creating the fuzzy index. Uh, so here I have the comparative study of the papers we have which I have referred, uh, which I have used in this review. These 10 papers I have referred. So when I go for the review and I have analyzed or read all the papers and I have got the review. So from these comparative studies of all the papers, I have find that the many of the papers use the different types of techniques, like they are using the prime numbers, they are using the two-stage index structure, and many of the techniques will be used. But main thing is that the storage overhead is in maximum time it will be more comparative to single keyword and multi keyword. So I will be focusing, or I will give the you can say the researcher the future, you can say the uh, uh, area or a future area where where the researcher can work, that will be fuzzy keyword searchable encryption with the lowest storage overhead. Or also the another research gap that I have identified from this review is that, okay, whatever the result I will get from the cloud environment, that result is the proper result. So we have to identify, we have to verify the data which is I have get from the cloud environment. So the verification is also be very important aspects which we have to consider while doing the research. And the third thing that I have find out from this review is that, so maximum of the papers have assumed that the data user and the data owner are the authenticated user. So no authenticity will be observed in this. So also we can go for the authenticated environment we have to create while doing the fuzzy search over the cloud environment. So these 4 or 5 research gap, or you can say the research things I have identified from the reviews. So finally, I have concluded my the review with the same thing, that is from the survey of the techniques with the searchable encryption technique. I can give the roadmap for the researcher that we can go for the verifiable, storage efficient, and authenticated searchable encryption architecture for the encrypted cloud environment. So these all the things I currently working on it for my research, and I have finalized the architecture, and I will currently doing the implementation for the same. So this is my references.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you please come to your first slide?
First slide, okay.
First one, where the name is there.
Okay.
Basically, intelligent heuristic keyword-based search methodology is applied to the cryptographic cloud environment.
Yes, sir.
You have done this one, no?
Yes, sir.
Is there any basic meaning of cryptographic cloud environment? That means there must be some security approaches also, no?
Yes, that I have just explained my third slide, that when we want to store something on the cloud environment, so we have worried about our data when we store the sensitive data. So what the user or the data owner is doing is they are currently storing that data. First they converting that data in the ciphertext and then store on the cloud. So that's why I have used the cryptographic cloud environment.
Okay, is there any diagrammatic format you have used for cryptographic cloud environment so that someone who is not having any background about cryptographic cloud environment, he or she must understand the same?
No, sir. I didn't work on it.
Okay, try to add this type of diagrammatic format so that while reading your paper in the conference also, they may understand, so that your citation will be increased.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
a
sure.
very much good point, I think, so that you may add it in the further studies also.
Sure, sir.
Otherwise,
Sure.
it's a good presentation indeed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, we can come to the next presentation, please.
Now we can call our next presenter. Shrishti Patil to present her paper on Suraksha Kavach ML-based cross-platform application for COVID-19 vulnerability detection.
Can I share this screen?
Yes, please.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
So good evening. Today I'm going to present on Suraksha Kavach app, ML-based cross-platform application for vulnerability COVID-19 detection. Myself, Srishti Patil, and my co-authors are Jasmine Kaur and Ruchi Raicha. So these are the contents: abstract, introduction, literature review, research gaps, proposed methodology, algorithms which are used, results and discussion, conclusion and future work, and the references. So as you know, in December 2019, the novel coronavirus was discovered in Wuhan, China. So during a short time, the epidemic has spread from China to quite 100 countries around the world. So the sector of the technology and learning has been widely employed in several fields, particularly over the past few years, whereas AI techniques are widely used and tested for the healthcare sector. And the care developed COVID-19 meets the requirement to use these ways to stop, predict, and stop its outbreak. So, to identify the analytical gap, we designed this model that predicts the level of vulnerability based on the age and state using different machine learning algorithms. The results of the bibliometric analysis show that the use of machine learning algorithms in COVID-19 related to two things based on age and the state. But this varies from state by state. So we predict the vulnerability of these age groups and prevent them from getting affected by COVID-19. Therefore, the issue of distinction between good and the bad cases of the COVID-19 remains a challenge. So the literature review we have, so the papers we have referred are the predicting the COVID-19 infection with 14 clinical features using machine learning classification algorithms. So the results in this paper are these arguments and drawing on the bibliometric analysis results. So no diagnostic model has been proposed to identify the positive and negative cases of COVID-19 using several clinical features. The second paper we have referred is COVID-19 automatic detection from X-ray images utilizing the transfer learning convolutional neural networks. So in this, the training and the evaluation procedure was performed with 10-fold cross-validation. And the third paper which we have referred is on the detection of COVID-19 infection from routine blood exams with machine learning, which was a feasibility study. And the model can be used to discriminate among the potential COVID-19 infectious patients with sufficient reliability and a similar sensitivity to the current gold standard. So the research gap I have concluded from the literature review is in all the research paper also that there were many information regarding COVID cases, but there is no information that how much that person is vulnerable to COVID. So this is the flow of application of our app, which the first is the login or the register page. Then it will validate through the database, and it will come through the COVID-19 dashboard. Here we can see the number of cases of deaths, and then at the bottom there is a check the vulnerability attack button. And if we click on that button, then we enter on the prediction page. There we can predict the COVID attack through age and the state. If we click on age and the state button, and if we click on the predict the attack, it will predict according to the vulnerability. So the algorithms used in our project are random forest algorithm, which is a machine learning algorithm that is a part of the supervised machine learning algorithm. It is based on the concept of ensemble learning, which is a process of combining multiple classifiers to solve a complex problem and to improve the performance of the model. Random forest is a classifier that contains a number of decision trees on various subsets of the given dataset and takes the average to improve the predictive accuracy of the dataset. So in this paper, we have predicted through random forest algorithm and predicts the final output. The greatest number of trees in the forest leads to the higher accuracy. The second algorithm which I have used is logistic regression, which is also the machine learning algorithm which speculates the output of the categorical dependent variable with the help of the given set of the independent variables and minimizes the log loss from the entire data set. The third algorithm which we have used is support vector machine algorithm, which is one of the most which is used for classification as well as the regression problems. So the algorithm is used to create the baseline or decision boundary that we can segregate into classes. So we can easily put the new data point in the correct category in the future.
Sorry for the interruption. May I know the dataset characteristics, please? As because the accuracy which is coming, which is very less. And what about the previous one, please? Come to your previous slide.
Yes. The random forest is the highest accuracy which we have predicted, 54%.
And is it fine to go with random forest or having 54% accuracy?
It is sometimes it go wrong if we predict, but it predicts with high accuracy.
No, what is the basic characteristics of your data set? Can you please define it? I can see that, okay, random forest is fine as because the other dataset, other algorithms also it's concerned, it's fine, but the accuracy which you are showing is not properly up to the mark. Is there any loss functions you have calculated or any major characteristics of the data set? That is why the accuracy is coming low.
Yes, sir. We have implemented it.
As because by using the machine learning algorithms, we can have the accuracy high and low also. But generally, in the case of yours, the algorithm accuracy is
yes,
coming.
ma'am. Yes, sir. There was loss of data set.
That's why I'm asking what is the basic characteristic of the data sets, features. What are the basic features of your data sets? Kindly
Data
explain, please.
pre-processing.
No. I am asking about your data set. Data set, what are the basic features of your data set? Feature means what are the attributes of the data set, how the values are there. That's why I'm asking.
On the vulnerability, we didn't got on the state and age, we are predicting the vulnerability.
Can you please directly come to your data set? You have written, we applied this algorithm to data set. Where is the data set?
We have not got the data set.
But you have written, when clearly you have written. Na? For every slide, you have clearly mentioned about the last line, it's applied on our data set. Where is the data set?
Actually, data set is there in Jupyter Notebook. I have not shown it there.
Okay, you may continue then. But ma'am, without having the data set, the presentation is not good then. The data set information need to be incorporated. Okay, you may carry on, please.
These are the results and the this is the login page and the register page, which have implemented login and the register screen UI. This is the home page which we have predicted. On the statistics, this is the static page, screen UI. And here is the button which will, if you click on the check my vulnerability, then we will go on this page. Suraksha coverage on age and state, we can predict the outcome, high vulnerability according to the state, age and state. These are, we have also done the localization on English, Hindi, and Marathi. This is the output page. This is the conclusion of our project. In our project, we predict prediction of percentage attack is done using machine learning algorithms. We came up with the solution as people are getting infected by this COVID at a very large number. So it's necessary to spread awareness and take precautions as soon as possible. And the idea about COVID lockdown reminder is also one of the features we can add. Yeah. These are the references we have referred. Thank you.
Ma'am, may I know how many references actually you have used in your paper? Only 3?
Yes.
Only 3 references you have used?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, okay. Thank you. We may call in the next presentation, please. Next present, sorry.
Now we can call our last presenter. It's Suhasini to present her paper on a blockchain solution for secure health record access with the enhanced encryption level and improvised consensus verification.
Should I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Suhasini, and I would be presenting the paper.
Suhasini, ma'am, please click the
full screen. I'm doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes. Okay. Fine. It is.
Good. Yeah. So I'm going to start with. I have prepared a paper which is a blockchain solution for secure health record access with enhanced encryption levels and improvised consensus verification. Right. So moving on forward, this is the outline of the presentation. First, we'll start with the introduction and then identification of security and privacy challenges. Then the proposed solution, improvised encryption and consensus mechanism, just a flowchart and a brief explanation for that. Then I'll conclude it along with the references. So yeah, the motivation behind this paper presentation was actually I have prepared this paper to understand the current scenario of the healthcare systems, right? These days, the healthcare have been migrating from the manual records to the electronic records, and now we have reached to the electronic medical records. But still, the electronic medical records are being dangled over the centralized cloud architecture, right? And that too in the major hospitals or in the metro cities or in the bigger cities, right? But if we look at the smaller cities and if we look at the smaller healthcare organizations or small hospital organizations, they still are using a local EMR wherein the patient has to keep the manual record copies for everywhere. Wherever the patient has to go, they need to carry yourself. So the centralized approach is where we are lagging to these days in healthcare sector. But on the other hand, if we take it to the decentralization, the major issue that comes under for the healthcare information is the privacy and security. So the paper, after the literature review of many healthcare current systems, we have identified the major security and the privacy challenges which the healthcare is still into. And in order to resolve those privacy and security challenges, we propose a solution where, with the help of the blockchain technology or the blockchain integration in healthcare, which has the major characteristics of decentralization, immutable block architecture, since it includes cryptography and consensus verification as the basic perspectives. So in the present research, I would be proposing a system for privacy preserving and secure data access with enhanced encryption levels and improvised consensus mechanism. So these are the security and the privacy challenges which have been identified for the current healthcare system. These are the major one, right? There are many challenges in the healthcare sector which is not feasible to include in just one paper. But the major security and the privacy challenges we are focusing on. Other challenges are also there for the healthcare system, which I've already covered in my previous papers. So the first challenge is the ransomware, wherein the person can access the data, and unless the attacker, you don't pay to the attacker, they can just misuse that data. Second category is the medical identity theft. Medical identity theft is wherein a person can use or steal the identity of another patient, and they could access with the help to the medical data hospitals, and they obtain the services in the care. Third is the insider threats. Insider threats comes under wherein the association, people internal to the association or the part of the organization, sometimes accidentally or sometimes may misuse the information, or they just leak the data due to their personal reasons. Fourth category is the misconfigured and unsecure databases, which is having the older and the less secure encryption levels. Next is the third party vendor compromise. This comes under because most of the healthcare system, they don't have their internal IT structure. What they do is they just contract with the healthcare IT systems. They purchase the software from there and then they use it. So there could be a third party breach or third party vendor compromise, as there are many stakeholders and the parties involved in that. And the last category is the email compromise or the fraud, wherein a spoofing email or phishing would be done, fraudulent email, to ensure the healthcare services for the free access. Yeah. So in order to resolve all those challenges in the security issues, we are proposing a solution, which is a blockchain-based patient health record system. Now, this system majorly focuses on the major three entities of the healthcare system, which is patient, doctor, and administrator. Now, every time a new patient or a doctor registers, a new block hash address is generated and a global unique identifier is given, which will be used for a single trusted copy of the record, including all the information of the new entity. Now, there has been done an encrypted double hash mapping for the system between the patient and the doctor entity, which will be controlled by the administrator along with the other validators on the blockchain network. Yeah, this is the overview of the proposed system, wherein you can see that there are three entities. One is patient, hospital administration, and doctor. Just to looking at the system, let's not assume that I'm talking about a single patient or a single doctor over there. These are entity types, right? So there could be multiple patients and multiple doctors, but this is the overview of the system, how it will work. This system is basically a patient-centric approach where a patient can register himself or herself over the system. And the system is basically the smart contract implementation. We have used Remix as a platform for implementation of the blockchain, and the system has been deployed on Ethereum as well as on the Binance Smart Chain in order to have a real-time testing for the framework. And then once a patient registers itself, it has to be approved by the hospital administrator, wherein on the step number 2, you can see that I have written approves and grants role to the patient. That granting of the role can only be done by the administrator. Unless that role is granted, a patient cannot add their medical issues. They can only enter biometric. Even if they try to do it, there will be an error that you are not authorized to add the medical issues. Once it is done, there could be a doctor also can register himself or herself on their own. Once they have registered with their personal details, the administrator will approve and grant a role to the doctor, which is the doctor role. I'll come to that later, what is that patient and the doctor role and what is the inherent mechanism behind it. This is just an overview. After that, once the doctor has been registered and approved granted the role of the patient, the hospital administrator will assign the particular doctor to the particular patient. Once that is assigned, an appointment date will be fixed for the patient. The patient can access their records along with their personal details, the appointment details, and the medical issues details. Wherein, if a patient tries to access the record on this step, they will only be able to see their personal details. They cannot add medical issues. They will not get an appointment date until unless they have been approved by the administrator. After that, once the assignment of the doctor has been done to the patient can access all the records, and the doctor can also view and access the record for the consultation for applying the treatment to the particular patient. After that, once the consultation is done and no longer the access for the particular record is required, the administrator can remove the doctor access, or the patient can himself or herself remove the doctor access. If a doctor tries to access the patient record, once the access has been removed, there will be a breach of security attack and the denial of the patient record access authorization would be generated. Yeah. Okay. Moving on forward, we have something which is improvised encryption and consensus mechanism. Before I explain the slide, I would just give a brief intro to encryption and hashing algorithm, which are the inherent component of the blockchain. There are many encryption and hashing algorithms which have been used. We are using SHA-256 for the encryption level in this because that is the most complex architecture, and blockchain, Ethereum blockchain basically follows ETH hash algorithm, which is internally using SHA-256. It will generate every time a new complex key architecture, and it's very difficult to tamper with or alter it. What we have done here is, normally in a system, what happens is whenever patient register, there is a just ID or a unique ID will given to you. But basically in R, we have included two-level encryption. That is the two-level enhanced encryption. Every time a person or an entity enters a data, they will be using a unique block hash address, which will be the Ethereum block address. Once they have entered it, once the block, they have given the information, they would be assigned a global unique identifier, which is EEL1, enhanced encryption level 1. Then they will be, once the ID is generated, there will be a SHA-256 hash generation key, particularly associated uniquely to that particular patient block. And that is the enhanced encryption level 2. So once this all process is done, there will be an immutable new block generated and would be appended to the blockchain, which will be having three encryption levels, which is a block hash address is required. Then there will be a global UID, and then there is a SHA-256 hash key. So that is the improvisation or enhancement for encryption level. Coming on to consensus. Consensus is basically, see, blockchain is a decentralized network. So there are many nodes and the validators who are there on the network. Every node on the network has to verify or validate the node. Until unless they all reach to a consensus, the block cannot be appended or added to the chain. That is the basic agenda, right? Now, how we have improvised it in our system, since we are dealing with the healthcare data, so we cannot rely directly on the validators or the verifiers because we don't know the people who are there on the chain network. Inherently, we need to use a hybrid approach wherein the verifying and the approving nodes are there for the blockchain network. But in addition to that, we have included the administrator as a verifying and approving entity to the other nodes. Now that would create a consensus between the patient-centric approach and administrative approach. Now the flowchart indicates that every time a new block data is entered, I explained earlier on the overview also, if the admin approves it, then the role will be granted, that is the patient and doctor. Now, what is the role patient and doctor is? That is again a KCAC 256 hashing algorithm that we have used, which is basically the access control list mechanisms. And we have defined two particular roles. One is the patient and one is the doctor for separate entities. Once this is done, the role is granted, a new KCAC 256 hash key is generated. After this, the administrator can assign the doctor to the patient entity. That encrypted double hash mapping means both the patient block hash address and the doctor block hash address, they need to be mapped with each other in order to access for the records. If the mapping is successful, we can see the consensus is successful and the entity is approved to view or access the record. If not, the consensus fails, entity is not authorized. If at all on the upper level only, if the admin does not approve a patient or a doctor, if the patient is already existing or a doctor is already existing or the verification process is not done, then also the consensus fails and a message will be generated, the entity not approved. Yeah. This is the processing flow of the entire system. I just explained that, and yeah, that was all. New patient registration, then how it verifies it, new doctor registration, if it verifies, approves the data, rule granted. This is if the patient block hash address and the doctor block hash address, that is true, then the permission granted, otherwise failed, and the patient can remove the doctor access later on if it is not required. Yeah, that was all for my presentation. And for the conclusion, I would say that a comprehensive review has been conducted. I was not able to include the literature review as only 5 to 10 minutes were given for the presentation. So that is the reason I've not included the literature review, because that was really big. But we have done in-depth review and analytical research in order to generate the security and the privacy challenges which have been identified. Then a system has been proposed. Now it is in this paper, I have just given the proposition of the system, because in my next paper, which I have already done, implementation and the results have been generated, which I have communicated to a journal later on. So yeah, that was all. These are my references, and thank you so much.
Ma'am, very good presentation indeed.
Thank you, sir.
No questions.
Thanks a lot.
Very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks a lot.
We had completed all the presentation, and I sincerely thank our authors for the excellent presentation in this session and for also being a part of this international conference. Thank you very much, dear participant and dear presenter. Now I would like to thank us, chair of this session, Dr. Tanupriya Chaudhary, for chairing this session. And thank you so much, sir. And
thank you, ma'am, and thank you all of you. Thank you to all presenters actually. Yeah, thank you.
Sir, this is a token of appreciation on behalf of team Global Knowledge Research Foundation and ICTIS.
Thank you, ma'am.
And there's one more information. All the presenter would be getting digital certificate within 2 to 3 working days. And further, we had forwarded all the paper to the publication, and the publication will be live within 5 to 6 months. So kindly please cooperate with the team of ICTIS. And after that, I would like to request, please turn on the camera for a quick snapshot for making this conference more memorable.
Ma'am, there is some issue on my laptop. That is why I can't switch on my camera.
No problem, sir.
Only 2 or 3 presenters are left. Everybody is left, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tanupriya sir, can I have your number, please, if that is okay with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you were asking questions on machine learnings, and I felt that you are really good in that. So if at all I need some help in the future, will you be able to help me?
Yes, ma'am. No issues in that. I'm just telling you the number in the chat box.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it
Thanks
fine?
a lot. Thank you.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am giving you my WhatsApp number.
Yes.
You may WhatsApp me so that I can connect with you. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think you have received, na?
Yeah, I'm just noting it down. Thank you. Thanks,
Okay,
Richa.
thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
Bye. Shall we leave?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Done, sir. Thank you so much, sir.